So I would actually say the Carolina Reaper is like just on the edge of being too spicy, but just enough, which is great.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Live Your Mission Show, brought to you by Mission Meets, where our guests share their most actionable advice so that you can live a more mission-centered life. I am your host, Peter Alwood, and today we are joined by the infamous Noah Kagan, friend of mine, awesome individual. Before we get to that, here's what's going on over at Mission Meets headquarters. So what we have going on right now is, as you're watching this, if you're watching it in real time, we have just released 2 delicious turkey jerkies that just came out. One is Sriracha, so if you like a little spice, a little bit of sweet mixed in, the turkey jerky, the Sriracha turkey jerky is the one for you. But if you like something like a jerky that you've never tasted before, the Carne Asada is out of this world. Carne Asada turkey jerky from Mission Meats. Check it out. Just hit the shelves. Just in time for Thanksgiving. All right. Now back to the show. All right. Now on for our guest, Noah Kagan, founder of AppSumo and Sumo.com and all these other sumo-related companies, plus SendFox and a bunch of other amazing things. This guy really brought the noise today. And I'll tell you why. He talked about his ups and downs in business and how he stepped away for a couple of years and came back. But what's applicable for the viewer and for the listener as yourself is that there's so much knowledge steeped in here of happiness versus fulfillment, like he talks about, having a mission focus, which is interesting because that's what the show is about, right? Having a mission focus, having an accountability team that's willing to tell you the hard truths in a loving way, but people that you're surrounded by, and how that's affected his trajectory, how he thinks about measuring goals, and how he's implementing some new standards in his business that are really revitalizing the team and revitalizing the company. There's an amazing amount of knowledge here, whether you're a founder or not, whether you're an employee, whether you're a self-employed person of one, a company of one, whether you're none of those things and you're really just trying to live your mission and level up in your personal life. He's got a lot of knowledge here that he dropped, and he's a busy dude, and I appreciate him taking the time. He was able to eat the Carolina Reaper and be basically unfazed, which is amazing. The dude likes some hot stuff. And so I think you guys, this is going to be a treat. So without any further ado, I bring to you my next guest, Noah Kagan. Noah, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you, Peter?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for the time, bro. It's Friday afternoon, spending it with me. I'm honored. So, dude, we're going to dive right in. People already know who you are and what you're all about from the intro that I just spouted out. And so, first question is, when someone asks you what you do, what do you say? What's your current mission?
I don't say mission. I generally try to say something funny. When people ask, literally what I've said for the past 2 years, I say I play on computers.
You play on computers.
I play on computer. I mean, I'm playing. I used to say retired, like for a really long time. And then before, just if I really didn't want to be somewhere, I'd say I worked at Office Max. Because I did work at Office Max for 2 years. But I don't say that as much. Now I say play on computers because I can't believe, a lot of times, man, I cannot believe I get paid to do what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you forget that, right? You forget that you're not sitting in a cube or whatever it is that, normal people do. And you're stepping in when you want and stepping out when you want.
Well,
and you're pulling late nights, right?
You got to lean in. You read the Sheryl Sandberg. You got to seriously leaning in. I mean, I think one phrase that I've been thinking about lately, and then one thought that I had based on what you were saying is like, are you trying to get a job or are you trying to do a career? Mm-hmm. And I think there's just something I've been noodling on a bit because like, if you're doing work, right? If you're, think about it like an Uber driver. There is someone who's got a job, right? And they drive and their car smells dirty and whatever, versus someone who's like a professional, like a career, like they got mints, right? They got those mints that are nice, right? And the seats are clean and they maybe talk to you. Would you like to speak, sir or madam? And that's a career. And I think it's like finding careers that we enjoy. The other thing you kind of got me noodling on is like, for everyone listening, what's the intro that you want? Right? Like you said, Noah had an intro. I didn't even know how you introed me. But what kind of intro do I want, and work backwards from that intro? I think a lot of times, I was talking with someone today, just kind of going about it. And they're like, you really focus a lot on working backwards. And I was like, I don't know. That's how you figure it. That's how you get what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you call that reverse engineering your life? Or would you call that?
Yeah. I mean, goal planning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's honestly, I've found for myself that it's more hard to figure out what I want than to get it. I think once we're very clear on what we want and we actually want it, then getting it and dealing with adversity and dealing with the good times makes it much, much easier.
Why does that work though?
Well, I think most people don't really, they're not clear on what they want, and then they don't plan on how to get it. But if you kind of like, for example, I'll give you candid. So with my personal like podcast, like No Kagan Presents, I started thinking for 2020, I want to reach 1 million people, Peter. I want 1 million people. And then I really sat with it, and I, went for a walk, and I'm thinking about it and journaling. And I actually don't care at all for that.
Okay.
I literally don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. It really could not make a difference, and it doesn't motivate me. And so I still have not figured out the clarity around that, but I just was reflecting on, okay, well, what things am I doing or have been doing that I love doing and I'll keep doing? And so how do I tie a more mission or goal around that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the reason that it works in my perspective is that you've got this goal that is going to pull you through the hard times, because it's 95% just crap, right? Like just drudgery of the day. It's just truth, right? 5% is going to be really, really exciting. And 95 is going to be really hard work. And I love that you're wearing Live Your Mission shirt, by the way.
Thanks.
Right. Like, and that, when you have that goal, that'll pull you through. Right. And so like we went through a book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. Brandon Turner, our mutual friend, turned me on to it. And it's about having this wildly important goal. So mission or wildly important goal, whatever you want to call it. And then working backwards from there to know, like, what do I need to do today that's going to help me get there? Right. And it's just one foot in front of the other. Right. And then checking in every week. Did I do what I needed to do in order to advance myself just a little bit closer to that wildly important goal or mission or whatever, right?
But I think
You have
that's
to
so
have
true.
it.
I think everyone knows that. I think most advice, when I hear it, I'm like, yeah, dude, I've already heard you talk about this before. Or I'm aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing it, but something's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think most people would agree, have a mission, have a goal. And I remember in the past, I've always been jealous of everyone who had one. I was like, where did you get yours from? It's like majoring in college. Like, how did you know this major? And so I think, your goals change and your missions change.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually spending more time, spending more time thinking about what goals really matter. Because I've had different businesses. Like I've had a business where the goal was to get a certain amount of revenue on this Facebook apps.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care about Facebook apps. And then when times got tough, I quit. And then we did payments. And when times got tough, I was like, I really don't like this. But AppSumo, our main business, it's been 10 years I'm working on this.
Wow.
And it's because like my mission is to promote awesome stuff. That's what I mentioned. I love finding dope people or dope products and promoting the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do it for free no matter what. And it's just something I'm going to always keep working on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it is finding, reflecting on what stuff are you doing for free? What stuff like have you been doing that's gotten you excited, gotten you a little blip on the radar?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're saying it's not just to have a mission, it's to have the right one. It's to have the one that's actually feeding you. That's what you're saying?
Ugh. Yes, Peter. I wanted to, there's a story for me where I was 25. I got fired by Facebook. I started building Facebook apps, which I hated building Facebook apps, but I just really wanted to run my own company and work abroad. And so I vividly remember this, and I'm on the streets of Argentina, which it sounds super bougie and it sounds very, I guess it was really, I felt luxurious that I could make a few $1,000s a month and live in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being on the street and being like, what's my purpose? It kind of is like one of the movies. And I thought like light would shine down or I'd get hit by a car or something and I would get a purpose. And I realized that there really isn't going to come to you that purpose, right? It's not going to magically come to me. And you live one life. And for me at that moment, I was like, my purpose is to enjoy the most out of life. Mm. And there are these times where I'm like, am I doing too much? Which I'm not trying to humble brag it, but I'm like, no, I'm trying to maximize my life. I only get one of it. I'm going to go for all these different experiences in that. And so anyways, that kind of ties back to some of the mission parts. And also I think for purpose, it's just like, think about just what you enjoy doing naturally and then just figure out how to do that all day.
Mm-hmm. So what has it been maybe in the last year or last 5 years where you have felt like, dude, this feeds me. Like I love doing this and I'm going to start building either bolt-ons to my current business or new businesses that are going to support me having more of this in my life? What comes to mind?
Yeah. What comes to mind is the trade-offs of focusing on just making money for money's sake, right? Because that's not really a mission, right? Like that is a outcome from the mission. And so for me, I think I've given up making as much money as not given up, but I don't make as much money as possible with myself or the business because I'd rather do things that I really enjoy, which subsequently actually ends up making a good amount of money. Uh, I think I've definitely veered. About the past 2.5 years, I kind of stepped out of our business at AppSumo and sumo.com. And I kind of tried a bunch of things that I thought would make me feel fulfilled. Like I don't go for happiness, I go for fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And it never really felt satisfying. Like I was doing a lot of YouTube, I was doing the podcast, and it felt good. It didn't feel great. And so in December, I actually came back into the business and was more day to day and put in the time and put in the work. And it's definitely been one, sounds like you've had a challenging year as well. It's been probably the hardest year in the business. And I wouldn't say it's been the most profitable year, but it's definitely been one of the most fulfilling in terms of like bringing the team together, going back to the basics. I think that happens a lot of times in business and in life. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a journey for the past 5 years, but definitely it's coming back to doing the thing that satisfies you.
Define happiness versus fulfillment. Like, give some clarity to the audience. Like, what is the difference in your mind between those two things?
I think happiness doesn't always feel good, right? And that's why I like using the word fulfillment, because happy just assumes you're feeling happy, right? Happy means smiling, but there's a lot of times I'm suffering. So if I'm bike riding and I'm suffering, or I'm up late at 2 a.m. 2 days ago because we're doing something for work and I'm suffering because I'm exhausted, I don't necessarily feel happy in that moment, but I am satisfied and I'm fulfilled with what I'm doing in that moment or in that day. Where I think a lot of people are too focused on being happy all the time. It's like some of the best things in life. I think one of the things to reflect on is like, when have you been most proud of yourself? And generally, it's not when you're happy. It's like, hey, I was depressed and I got out of it. Hey, I worked my butt off and I accomplished something. Hey, like I didn't think I could do it and I did it, or I faced a fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where it's not necessarily a happy moment, but it's a proud moment from a lot of the work that you've put in.
Yeah. It's kind of the difference between happiness and following some purpose, right? Because I think a lot of the times, I mean, just to kind of piggyback on that, I mean, there's times when you are working I mean, if you're a parent, I mean, you know this, like it's just really, really hard, but there is that fulfillment. I guess I haven't thought about it in that word. It's like more fulfilling a purpose, right? You're feeling like I did what I needed to do. I did the right thing. It wasn't what I wanted to do that day, right? Or it wasn't the way that I wanted to spend it, but I feel like I did the right thing. And that is far different than trying to be happy all the time, because back to this 95% rule, which is just totally made up number, but most of the time it's just you're not doing what you want to do. I mean, there's days in business where I'm just like in the dregs, just like doing things that are just like totally boring. But they need to get done, and I'm happy and maybe even fulfilled because I do them. So someone that's listening that is maybe feeling a little bit of this tension in their life, right? Or are you thinking about like you did 2 years where you stepped away to try to find it? Maybe you didn't find it, right? Sounds like maybe you didn't
I don't think I
identify
did.
it, right? But then you came back and you're doing what you need to be doing now for the company. How would you have done it differently, and how would that inform the listener or the viewer in maybe trying to short circuit that 2-year walkabout that you did in order to get to where they need to be?
Well, I'm trying to think of the scenario where they're at, and we can't go back in life. I don't want to just explain my specific instance. I want to explain like a more general thing that people can apply. Yeah. I think the lesson from myself was that as things got challenging between my business partner and I didn't literally lean in and to really try to work through and get together to a common vision. My answer was to retreat. And it was like, well, I don't agree with where we're going. Let me just back out and I'll go do something else, which I should have done the opposite, which is like, hey, I'm not agreeing. I don't like this. Let's try to actually get to some level of like unity. And if we can't, let's just hold off and then come back in a few weeks or in a few months. I think what I've found ironic is that most people want to create businesses so that they can have their dream job and their dream life. And then you create this business and then you eventually it just becomes work. It's like, I hate my boss, and you're like, well, I am the boss. This sucks. And so I think sometimes I'd rather have a job, a career at a company. But I think the bigger thing is like, are you living, to me, it's like, are you living your dream week? And there are people out there who are like, no, I've got bills, I've got kids, I've got an ex-husband, whatever it is. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do think it's like in this limited life that we live, or long life that we live, how do you spend the majority, 80% of the time, at least doing something that fulfills you? Whether it's making a lot of money or not is regardless, but at least what you're enjoying. Like my girlfriend, she loves it. She's a nurse. She loves it. And my mom was a nurse. She hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think more people just need to try to figure out how to be in that realm. And when there are challenges, which is inevitable in anything, how to step into it instead of stepping out of it. That's probably the biggest takeaway from myself.
Yeah. So you stepped away, you think, because of what? Because you didn't want to deal with the tension of that scenario, and it was easier just to step away. Did your former experience make you feel like, well, I can just go do something else? I don't need to deal with this. It's easier just to go and do my own thing. Or was it something different?
Well, my partner and I disagreed about how to take the company forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we think of ourselves as better than everyone a lot of the times. Oh, well, I thought, I'll just go start something else and do something else and let him do what he wants to do. But it wasn't that we were together in that decision.
Mm.
Right. I'm guessing, like, you're married. It's like if you and your wife have a disagreement, I don't think you're like, well, I'm just going to leave and good luck with the kids and we'll see how this works out and I'll raise new kids.
Yeah.
You work through it. And I think I should have said, hey, we're not aligned here. I think there's things like, there's one of the books, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, which I thought was a strong book for companies. If you're not aligned, there's times where you can say, I don't agree with you, but let's just go forward with it. But on key things about how the business needs to be operating, we need to be on the same page. So one thing that we did, which I thought was helpful recently, is we created, it's called Core Operational Frameworks, cough. So we have our Sumoisms of things that matter about the values of people that work here and the values of our company. But what are our actual like core operational frameworks? So like, what are things about how do we like to hire people? So some of the like examples. So for this instance where it sucked and we weren't actually on the same page, it was more around like, I didn't want to hire a bunch of people and he really wanted to. And it's like, well, okay, part of our framework is how do we decide how many people we want to hire? And it's like, well, let's only hire when we need people. And so I think it's just having some things that are kind of pillars or easier ways to make decisions. So you're not having to like disagree about stuff, making it easier. So that was definitely one thing that I think has helped us move forward. I don't think it's perfect yet, but all right, let's just create things that we can always agree on.
Dude, this is critically important. And I think that whether you have a team or not, it's irrelevant. You can have your own pillars, right? But there's a good friend of mine who his business just got accredited now, university. I mean, this dude's running a good sized company, lots of employees, lots of team members and all that. And this has been pivotal for them because you need to be on the same page. You don't need to agree on everything. Like Nick and I, there's definitely a lot of things we don't agree on, but we have these core pillars. We've never called them that internally. They're just these fundamental beliefs of the business that everything else stacks up on top of, right? And we agree on those things. And if you don't have that, it's like this whole, idea of a house built in sand and all this stuff, right? Like you have to have those things. You guys have to know like what kind of company you both want to build together. Essentially, you and your partner, you guys are married, right? You're work husbands, work whatever.
We are.
Right? And so you have to have those things. Otherwise, I mean, how the heck are you guys going to be in a harness pulling in the same direction? You're not. You're going to be in a harness pulling in separate directions. You're not going to make any headway, right?
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk had a great article, or there's an article about it called Vectors.
Okay.
And I really love the concept. It's something I think about regularly, and we're actually making big changes in our business around it, which is like, how is every single person and every single thing in your business or in your life, like for people who are business operators, like how is it aligned? Like one of my word of the year next year is congruency. And it's if I'm very organized in my personal life, how am I organized in my business life? How am I organized in my relationship? If I have goals and planning in my business, how do I have goals and planning in my relationship? And how do I have goals and planning in my personal? And I've started doing that better this year. And I think that's really what it is at a business level, which is, do you have the right people in place? Is everyone clear on the strategy and how all these pieces lining up to make it a bigger whole? So that's definitely something I've thought of, which is like, what is the goal in our company and how is everyone lining up in AppSumo and Sumo to make it as big as possible?
How do you get everybody on the bus? How do you get everybody congruent? Like how How are you having your vision in your mind of where you want it to be and then getting everybody to buy into it and understand that this is where we want the company to go and we've decided on it together? Or do you do that?
So generally, what we're doing moving into the future is that we're having a single goal that everyone in the company is aware of, and walking through how we got to this level of decision.
Mm,
I think at the end of the day, it's looking at like where is the future, where are we now? Where's the future look like? What do we have an advantage in? And then basically, I think having a singular goal makes it much easier for everyone to be clear on where we're going. And then it really provides insight into every decision needs to say, is it helping this goal or not helping this goal? And if it is, we do it. If it doesn't, then if it's not directly helping the goal, then we have to either kill it or reconsider it.
yeah.
I put together a presentation just to go over with the company in a few weeks. And it basically just walks through the thought process and do a little bit of a town hall saying, here's why we're doing it. Love everyone to challenge it if they think there's something better. But basically just making one number and one mission for the team of where we're trying to take it, and being clear on that.
Dude, you wrote something up years ago. I don't remember exactly the premise, but you guys had decided on a goal for the team, and I believe you even projected it on the wall in the office. Is that a story that I'm remembering correctly?
No, we still do that.
Okay, and explain that. I mean, maybe walk the viewer through
Yeah.
that a little bit. Like, why is that important, and how has it affected whether you make a goal or not, and your kind of performance on that?
Well, I think we talk about our mission, right? And growing up, and I went to Berkeley, and I was in some business classes, and it was like mission and purpose. I was like, it all sounds like hogwash to me. And I just like, oh, that's like big company talk, big. That's like old people talk for losers talk. Like old people say shit like that. And but I do actually started, the older I've gotten, you nowadays a lot of these tech companies or even all these direct to consumer food companies like yours, they sound similar.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, we've got unlimited vacations, we've got dogs. Uh, you know, you can whatever, you got free lunch. Now it's like, well, who's your chef?
Yeah.
So I think it is important to have a goal, right? And I think having a single goal, and I'll give some examples in my personal life and in the business, because people sometimes, what do you mean? But I think it makes it very clear where you're going. And then I think all businesses should have a purpose or a mission of what the hell they're doing. Because frankly, to some extent, at the end of the day, like that is one of the major differentiators of why you would join someone,
Hmm.
right? So for us at Sumo, we want to make small businesses sumo sized. That's what we do. That's what I've done 10 years ago. I'm going to do now, and I'm doing the next 10 years. How we do it, I'm not sure exactly.
Hmm.
There's definitely some visions about how we think it can happen, but that's the mission. That's the purpose. In terms of, and the goals are kind of like flag posts or signposts to make sure you're on the right track. I think we've made mistakes in the past where we didn't have continual goals, meaning that we picked a goal for this year, but then we kind of changed to a different type of goal next year. I think it's more helpful to say like, hey, we want to have 1,000 customers this year, and next year we want 2,000, then you're up to 5,000, and it kind of keeps you on a more consistent path. So I'll give you some examples that have helped. I'll give one recently that I told it to a friend. They seemed really excited about it. I have a biking goal. So we have company goals, and I have a personal goal. One of them is biking 3,000 miles.
Okay.
So I think this is a simple analogy or a simple example that people can relate to. So if you're doing 3,000 miles, Peter, like how would you do it? Like how would you make sure you hit your goal?
I'd break it down to a daily goal or a weekly goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and so it mattered to me. So I wanted to bike across America, which is 3,000 miles. So I was excited about that. And I said last year, I'm going to do this. And every week it was 60 miles. So 60 times 50 weeks is 3,000 miles.
Hmm.
What ended up happening though is that I didn't go a step further, which actually, because like midway through, I was like, wow, I'm really behind on my goal, because some weeks I'm a little low, some weeks a little high. So now every Sunday in my week, I put the number of miles per day or per every other day. So I know I'm going to hit my goal. So like I biked 50 miles this morning, and I have to do 50 tomorrow, and I did 10 on Monday. And point being, it's never, I don't want surprises in my business. I don't want surprises on my goals. I want surprises for birthday parties.
Mm.
That's it. And so now I'm, a few weeks off from hitting the goal because I went back and readjusted to make sure I'm on track for the goal. And so
Yeah.
that's in the personal life. In the company, we launched a product called Meet Fam. You guys were an early beta customer, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
We wanted to help generate $1 million for customers. And so that was the goal that we were able to accomplish. AppSumo has a revenue goal. SendFox, one of our email marketing for content creators, has a customer goal. What we're moving forward to next year is how are all of the goals helping grow AppSumo. So that is what, as we're trying to we're aligning the business more around how does it help grow the AppSumo business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just having extreme clarity on that, right? So back to the biking goal. I mean, the reason you took it a step further and you made it a little bit more granular. Like, this is what I need to do, maybe even on the daily level, in order to get there, right? Um, it's the whole like idea of like what gets measured gets managed, right? Like, if you're just feeling like I want to do 3,000 miles, and you're surprised December 31st when you don't do the 3,000 miles, well, you can't do anything about that, right? But if you're checking in on a weekly basis, you're like, dude, I'm like 3% behind, or I'm 5% behind, or 10% ahead. And you can make adjustments, which is what you did.
Here's the thing that's strange with these situations, though, is that I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs and I love meeting new companies and more people. Everyone I think has a goal, but then when I actually say, when do you want to accomplish it by and what's the objective, they don't actually have clear numbers.
Mm,
And I think that's literally what I've noticed is the difference between the Facebooks of the world, which is where I learned this from,
mhm.
versus the people who aren't getting what they want. They're like, oh yeah, I want to grow and do it. I'm like, all right, well, how do you know when you're there? I don't know. We'll just know. Okay, do whatever you want. And look, there's many ways of traveling to Mexico if you know you have to go south. But I'd rather, figure out a destination and figure the best way to get there. So I would just recommend, when personal, professional, relationship, actually having a goal and then having a little bit of a backward work plan
Yeah.
to make sure you're going to accomplish it.
Why are people not checking in like this, though? You said earlier, like, everybody knows this is very simple, right?
It's all
Set a
simple.
goal, work backwards from that, write some numbers down. Why are people not doing it, though, if it's so simple?
I don't know. I really don't know. I was thinking, my first thought was finances. So I have a very good friend who's $29,000 in debt, and I was like, yo, how the f are you in debt? Like, and he's not unique. There's a lot of people in debt,
Hmm.
and I think it's, to some extent, for me, that was an upbringing solution. Like, I have two Jewish parents who like gave me an ATM card at like 8 years old, and they're like, get your budget ready.
Mm,
And I was lucky. I literally just was lucky that my parents were so strict about that and very educational, and that I was lucky. It wasn't like I got a lottery ticket on that one. And so I think there is something to be said for a learning, right? So some people just didn't really learn how to goal plan effectively. I think there's probably something to be said for how can people have better accountability.
yeah.
So I have an accountability buddy that I talk with every week on Sunday or Monday, and I check in with them about how our goals are doing. Are you on track for your goal? No. What are you doing? If you're not on track, if you're on track, good. If you're not on track, what are you doing about it? That's definitely been a game changer. I think the other thing I would say for goals that's will help people accomplish them is put your goals everywhere. So like my goal right now, I can see it. It's on my sticky on my laptop, and I have it on my phone, and I have it. Where else do I have it? Wherever I can have it. I have it on my to-dos. I see my goals every day, and like what I do, literally, I'll show you, is that I read my goals every day. So I have a to-do app called Strides. I love it. It's free, and so in Strides app, it says read your goals today, which I did, and I can just mark it off. So every day I make sure that I'm looking at what I want to accomplish. And midway through the year, this year, I said, there's a few goals I just don't care about. Like, I wanted to make an EDM song, like boom, 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 like that. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't give a shit to make it an EDM song. But I was like, I'm really excited to be more of a man.
Hmm.
So I said, I'm going to build a sword and build a bench. And so
Mm,
I built a sword, and I hired a contractor person to come over, and we're going to build a bench.
that's
But
rad.
I'm excited for that one. And so there is a difference between changing your goals every week versus like, quarterly or maybe every 6 months, if you don't really care about it. But I think just planning it, having accountability, put it in the calendar and look at it all the time, I think it'd be pretty damn hard not to accomplish those things.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple pieces that I'd love to expound on just a little bit is that my answer to the question that I posed is
Yeah.
I think that people, they do not like accountability. They don't like being told what to do. You realize that it's very hard work to get to where you decided that you wanted to be. And so you abandon that. But then more so that if you start measuring, then I have this a little bit too. It's like, if you start measuring, then there's a possibility you're going to measure and you're not where you want to be. And some people just don't want to see that, right? And so one of the things in this whole 40x plan that we're for, disciplines of execution that we're rolling out, is having these what they call lead measures and lag measures. And so an example would be, a lag measure would be like, hey, I want to lose weight, or I want to ride 3,000 miles across the country, right? And at the end of the month, I need to be at whatever that number is, 3,000 divided by 12. A lag measure is just like measuring at the end of the month and saying, oh, I either made it or I didn't. And it's a lag because you can't do anything about it. It's already over. The month's over, right? A lead would be, I know that I need to ride Monday, Wednesday, and Friday X amount of miles, and that's the way that I'm going to influence whether or not I meet my goal or not. And so that's just a way for you to measure it. But if you're measuring, then there's always that possibility that you're not making the progress, and I think people are scared of that. And so that's why the accountability
Interesting.
is so important, because you have someone that is going to ask you the hard questions, and you want to be damn sure that you can say, yes, I did it. Right. And that's scary. But
This,
having it's super powerful.
can I sell my coaching program now, or should I wait till the end? Well, for $19.99 a month, I will personally mastermind you into success.
That's right. That's right. So, all right, man.
That's
So
interesting. They think people don't do their goals because they don't have goals, or is it that they're afraid of failing their goal? Or
I think absolutely afraid of failing the goal. Like, it's easy to say, I want to make $1 million this year, or I want to have 1 million users, or ride 3,000 miles. Like, that's great. January 1st, you can dominate the world, man. You're like a 4-year-old with a Superman shirt on. Like, you can do anything January 1st. Middle of the summer, you're like, dude, I'm not even close. You readjusted your goals because you were a little bit behind. Most people would just say, forget it. There's no way. I can't do it. I haven't been measuring this long or this far. And so, dude, just one last question, and we'll go into the next segment of the show. Looking back, is there anything else that you feel like you would have done differently, um, that would just help have progressed things, right, but not have changed your trajectory?
in what sense?
So you did this like 2-year walkabout that we talked about earlier. Like, how
Yeah.
much of it do you think was necessary in order for you to get to where you are now mentally, and then also in your business, versus what you have short circuited? What do you think you didn't have to go through, or is there anything?
I'm sure there's like some guru speaker person that can make up some like, oh, it sent me and I learned all this shit and I got spiritually high and I was no, I think I probably wasted 2 years. I'm
Okay.
sure I gained and I learned and I worked hard a little bit and then I struggled, but I think it was unnecessary.
Okay.
Um, I think the question for me is like, well, what could I have done is there a way to make sure that if that happens again, I can learn it quicker?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the key thing is being aligned with my business partner. Uh, I think one of the things I observed is that when you're working on something that gives you fulfillment, and I was doing the podcast and I was doing YouTube and I was kind of building some little side things here and there. And I never felt great. I never woke up looking forward to working on it. I never was like, oh, how's it doing today? Hey, how can I tell more people to do it? I was like, all right, I'm going to go podcast this one person because they're famous and hopefully other people will listen. And that's not to say I didn't have days I enjoyed or days that strong, but I think with where I've come back to now, I'm very motivated because I'm just doing the things I want. I'm like working on AppSumo and I'm working on SendFox and we're launching a new product and we're moving the team around and simplifying the business to be more effective. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, yeah, this stuff I really love. And I love the people I get to do it with. And I love the customers we get to help. Versus, let's even say 5 years ago, or was it 10 years, over 10 years ago, I was doing Facebook games where I hated my partners, I hated the customers, and I hated the work I did every day. But it's not about boohoo me. It was like, all right, let's try to keep learning so the mistakes happen quicker and quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of doing what you feel like you were supposed to do, right? Because that's what everybody else was doing and it was sexy and exciting. You're now instead doing what you feel like is giving you fulfillment, right?
Yeah, it's tough because I think there's things we do where we see other people, and if they're doing successful, whatever that means, that we like have to put them down somehow.
Mm.
Like, oh, look how successful. This is what everyone does lately, which is funny. Elon Musk is so successful, but he's a horrible father. Yeah, it's like, how do you know he's a horrible father? And so I think a lot of that just comes back. Or like, I had a friend whose business I think made more money than mine. And I was always so jealous. I'm like, oh, I'm smarter than him and I'm more interesting than him. Uh, and then I really had to evaluate, like, I don't want to be him. Like, am I doing what I want the way I want for myself? I do think jealousy or that stuff is helpful in understanding yourself better and what you really want.
Yeah.
But I think when we start doing the outside world, it's kind of setting us up to fail.
Agreed, man. One other thing, I said there was the last question, but I've got
Hit me,
something
dude.
else I
I
wanted
want to
to
hear your
ask
stuff.
you. Well, dude, I think that something that you've been able to do through this, this kind of common thread through your story is that you've been able to overcome these things and you've been able to make some big mistakes and then still come back from it. And I don't think that's I think that's kind of abnormal. I think a lot of folks would be like, dude, I failed. I'm going to go get a job. Clearly this is not, I'm not cut out for this stuff. I'm moving on. Why have you been able to do that? How have you been able to say, yeah, I'm going to pick myself up. Let's try again.
Well, let's be specific. I think maybe I put myself off. I think I'm not unique in that, but I think we all put ourselves off the track at times. Because sometimes when you're doing well, it's boring, right? I think that's the thing I've heard from other people, and I've experienced. Like, it's not fear of failure; it's fear of success. Right? A lot of people are successful, and they're like, "Well, can't be this good forever." It can be actually. I think in terms of getting back on, I'll just be specific with this experience. So I was unsatisfied with how our company was behaving. And I think it's called the seagull theory or the pigeon theory.
Never heard it.
Where I would come in and on people in the company and then I would fly away.
Well, my friend calls it the pyrotechnic CEO. Like, you come in and you just like drop a bomb on their desk and then leave.
Yeah, I think the seagull one sounds a little cooler. But yeah, because pyrotechnic, I'm like, explosions sounds like diarrhea. So the two things I would say that was interesting about being able to bounce back. It's not that I don't think I have unique powers. I don't think I'm much smarter than most people. I think I'm above average, but not like exceptional. I think the thing that happened in the instance for that was, number one, I had a support network. So my friend Ian, my friend Adam, my girlfriend, my friend Neville, all of them were constantly telling me what to do in a positive way. They're like, Noah, just go back and run the company the way you want. And I kept saying, no, I'm going to hurt people's feelings and I can't do it and blah, 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 whine, Mm-hmm. And so that was one part that really helped, is that I had people that weren't nice to me, but they loved me. Mm. So I had this group of people that were really being like, just go run the company. We know that's what'll fix this stuff. And then I did work on it, right? I went and tried ayahuasca, which I'm not saying that people have to go do that. I posted about that on OK Dork. Mm-hmm. I went to conferences, I journaled, I did therapy. I tried some things, and eventually I kind of gave myself permission to go back and just like, dude, at the end of the day, at least do what you want. I know I think some of this advice I want secrets. I love secrets. Mm-hmm. And I want golden, nuggets, but a lot of the times it is simple things, which is just do what I really want. What did I really want? I wanted Sumo and the way the business to run. I wanted to run my way. Mm-hmm. At least I don't want to tell them exactly what to do, but I want the company to be going in a direction that I was excited about, because that's why I created it. And it was easy to go do it, but it took 2.5 years to get there. I generally think, and I guess maybe it's a mentality, is that the people that win definitely aren't probably the smartest, but they'll persevere the longest. Yeah. I've seen just so many companies time after time where I'm like, I definitely thought you were going to be really unsuccessful, but you just don't quit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of times, if you can just keep going, even if it doesn't look great, but you just at least keep trying, that's led to some level of success. We did this launch yesterday and it did okay. I wouldn't say it did great. And I was, a little disappointed versus my expectations. I wanted to sell like a certain amount and we sold like a third of that amount. And I was like, this sucks. I hate this company again. And, a lot of times, honestly, just go to sleep. I swear to God, don't go drinking, don't do drugs, maybe have a Mission Meat bar. There you go. Mission Meat stick, and then get some rest. And then you wake up the next day and you kind of can put a little perspective on it. And you're like, well, why am I doing this? And I was like, well, I want to create cool tools to help small businesses. And I was like, things aren't as bad as it seems. And I was like, how do we just go fix it? And so that's what we did. Thursday and Friday, we came back and fixed it. And now it's like, oh, actually, yeah, things are definitely not as bad as we, in that moment, feel like. Yeah.
The accountability piece is huge, man. I mean, there are people that are going to tell you the hard truth in a loving way. They'll be like, dude, stop your complaining, right? This is what you need to do, right? You're blinded by your emotions. Pick yourself up, cry a little bit, fine, and then get up and get back at it, right? And maybe it takes 2 years, or maybe it takes a month or a day or whatever, right? Same thing with this launch. It's like things are rarely are they what we expected them to be. Like almost never. But it's in like the second, third, fourth iteration that you find all the gold, right? It's when all the mining happens. You're like, oh, this is something we didn't expect. We're collecting this data from the initial people. We're going to make some tweaks, and then version 2, 3, 4. And then now this is the company we wanted it to be. But it's, everybody wants that silver bullet, dude. They want it to launch. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to be on the news.
I know. Well, I think what it is that they read the article and it sounds so much easier to watch the YouTube video or read the blog post. Or see the Instagram about how rich someone is.
Mm-hmm.
when the reality is that they're probably not as rich as you think they are. It's probably not as successful as they make it appear. And most of the success isn't publicized.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I would say with perseverance is that, and I'll give a quick story, is that it doesn't feel good sometimes. But I think you have to know that there's going to be something better. You have to have a little bit of optimism to be successful. And so, like, a stupid example of that is, like, one of my goals this year, my personal goal, I wanted to do a backflip. Really wanted to do a backflip. I just have always wanted to do one. I did it like 7 years ago, where I tried to, and I totally failed. And I was like, I just want to do one. I just think it'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, in terms of perseverance, I went to like a little kids park. I looked like a pedophile. I was like 37, no kids there. I was like pulling out. I had a mustache. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't have a mustache. Why are mustaches so creepy?
I don't know.
So they are creepy. But anyways, I was with a friend, and my friend did a backflip before me. And I was like, it's possible. And then I just said, I tried to do it, and I was so scared. Is this a stupid story? Because there's a point to it.
No,
right.
It's scary to do a backflip because
it's super scary.
If you don't land it, you're on your face.
Eating it. And so the first time I tried to do it, I fell right on my back. I didn't even flip because I was so scared. And then I thought, well, all he did was believe. And so I just in my mind said, no matter what, I'm going to really go for it. And then I jumped as high as I could. I tried to flip, and I fell on my face. And then I did it 5 more times. And on the 5th time, I finally got the backflip. And I just said, I'm going to make this happen. I did it.
Wow. And
I think to the point of perseverance about not feeling good or not knowing that you're going to do it is believing in it and knowing that it's not going to feel good. But sometimes I think we're like, it's got to always feel great. And yesterday and Wednesday didn't feel great. But I know that that's going to happen sometimes. And as long as you know that someone can do it before you, or it's going to not feel great and you're just going to get through it, you're like, oh, I'll just keep going. And so maybe it's a little bit of that mindset.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's a great story, dude. And congratulations on the backflip, man.
I'm so proud of myself. I honestly haven't been not proud of myself very often, but I was like, dude, you did it. You did it. Like you said you want to do it, and you did it.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Well, dude, I don't want to run out of time before we get into our next segment of the show.
Hit it.
Which is where our guest answers some rapid-fire questions while they attempt to eat in a bag of our Carolina Reaper jerky, or at least some of it, right?
All right.
Are you ready, bro?
Yeah, I have my soy milk with me. Or no, oat milk. Sorry, that's the rage these days.
Yes, it is. Oat milk's good. It's delicious.
Not bad. Not bad. Oh, I'm gonna smell. Oh, it doesn't smell too bad. All right, should I eat it now?
Yeah, take a bite, and I'll ask you some of these questions, man.
How you torture people?
You like hot stuff?
Generally, yes.
Oh, okay.
I like condiments.
Condiments, like spice, like hot sauce and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the heat for you?
Not too bad yet.
Yeah, it's
Wait
good.
for it.
It's good.
Is it coming? Is it coming? Like with that firecracker?
It does creep on you. All right, man. So first question, favorite book. Could be something from business, personal, last year, last 5 years, of all time. What comes to mind?
To Kill a Mockingbird was like my favorite growing up. I'd say honestly the most unique book I've read that I loved in the past year was called The Secret Race.
Never heard of it. It's about.
I know. It's one of these books that no one's heard of. It's not like one of the common business books. It's a guy who was Lance Armstrong's teammate. And it's like, I think what I found fascinating was like, I think we think these people doped and they just got fast. But it was amazing to see the amount of work that they had to put in to be an elite cyclist. So really amazing book. Secret Race by Tyler Hamilton.
Tyler Hamilton. Okay.
It's actually, this is not as hot as I thought. I thought I was going to be crying.
Yeah, just keep eating it, bro. It's good.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. It's got
Peter.
good flavor too, right? It's not like just like stupid spicy. It's got nice taste to it.
Honestly, I'm enjoying it.
Good.
I think that, I'll go read The Secret Race, man. That was fire.
Secret Race. Okay. Very good, man. Don't touch your eyeballs, by the way. Early or late riser?
Early?
Yeah. What time?
What time did I get up today? Today I got up at 7:45.
Okay. Yeah, I call that a medium.
You know what's funny? I want to say that's early, but I meet people who are like, I get up at 4 a.m. every day. I'm like, oh, no.
A friend of mine gets up at 5 o'clock every day. Any quotes you live by?
Any what?
Quotes.
Quotes I live by. The one I've always thought, the one that always comes to mind, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Okay.
It's a mom one.
Yeah.
Pain is such a rush. That's from a Bachelor Party, a Tom Hanks 1980s movie.
I did not remember that quote.
Whenever you get hurt. So this guy kept trying to kill himself. I know we're in rapid fire, but keeps trying to kill himself. And every time he kills himself, he fails. And he goes, Pain is such a rush.
You live by that quote?
I think about that a lot when I get into pain.
Okay.
I think sometimes lately with bicycling, it's good to have some suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have really a quote about it, but when I'm like this morning, I was suffering a lot during biking because I was racing a buddy in our virtual world. It's kind of weird. Um, I guess in my mind, I'm like, you can suffer. Like you can suffer longer than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I just tell myself that. I don't know if it always works, but it feels like it helps.
Did you ever read the book? Have you read the book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me?
No, because I think he's soft.
You,
The guy's soft.
you got to read this book, dude. Oh my
I read
gosh.
it. I was just sick of it. It's like, oh, I did 4 million push-ups today. What did you do on the couch? Oh, I ate a finger. I ate one of my fingers. What did you do? I'm like, it's just not real to me.
What I liked about the book, what I loved about the book actually, is it showed you that, or proved to you that, you know, like that you're this suffering you have with your friend while you're riding this bike, it's going to be over. Like it's going to be painful and you're not going to like it, and then it'll be over. And then you've done it, and you've done your mileage and you've strengthened some muscles, and it's not a big deal. It's all temporary. What's wrong?
It's temporary. Here's the thing that I don't like about the book. It's easy to read a book. It's hard to suffer. That's my problem. It's easy to go read a top 10 book that's like, subtle art of not giving a fuck. I don't have anything against David personally or anything. I just think reading books is easy. Doing things is hard.
Sure.
And more people need to do the thing and experience the suffering. And then they can read books about it and write about it.
Sure. It's okay to read it, but you need to actually implement, I think is what
go suffer a little bit. Go for a hard walk. Go fast for a day. Go ask someone for a discount. You know, the coffee challenge, something we've done where you ask for a discount. Like that is not suffering, but that's challenging. And I think it's easy to just read a tweet or watch a video or scroll on your thumb.
Yeah. Stop reading, start doing.
Yeah.
I get it.
All right, these aren't as bad as I thought, man. Real talk.
Just keep on eating it, bro. I appreciate it. Best under $100 purchase in the last year, 5 years, whatever your duration is.
I'll tell you the thing I use a lot. Here, look up my Amazon order. I use this travel backpack so frequently. It's on Amazon. Let me find it. I think it's like $14.
It's a backpack for $14?
Dude, it's just like a travel backpack that folds up into like the size of your palm.
Okay.
I use it for the gym. I use it when I travel. I just find it very convenient, super affordable. I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Okay, cool.
I think that one has been a huge one.
Why do you like it so much?
It's just I use it. I think about it in frequency.
Okay.
I think lately I've been really into electrolytes. Those are like $10.
Mm-hmm.
But if you work out a lot, definitely kind of gives you a little bit of energy boost.
Okay. Last couple of questions for you.
Hit me, dude.
What's next for you?
I'm gonna get engaged.
Wow.
So well, this will come out afterwards. So I'm proposing at the end of this month. That's pretty wild.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to getting a house. I want to move into a house with my girlfriend, future fiance, and have a nicer house. In our company, I want to line up our vectors better. I think right now we've started to really do that. I'm really excited to have more people and the products and the business all lined up together, focusing on that attention on growing the AppSumo business.
Okay. One thing I wanted to point out on that, man, is it's super fulfilling to put these goals together and to get the team on board and to really feel like you're building some foundation, but it is freaking hard, right? And it's not like super fun either. Like it's very tedious, tough work to do. But at the end, fulfilling, once again, that word's going to come up. It's very fulfilling. And I think that it's like this necessary work in order to make the progress that you want to make.
Well, can I say three? Well, I'm gonna say three things about that.
Yeah.
Number one, I think a question that's helped me is like, what are the hard things I'm avoiding? That's a very interesting question to kind of reflect on in your business. Like, what are hard decisions? Could be in your personal, could be in your health. But what are hard decisions I'm avoiding? And a lot of times that'll point you in the right direction. Number two, I think one thing that my friend Adam from mybodytutor.com and I talk about a lot is anticipation. So I think if you're not happy in life, and there's times I'm not happy. I definitely think this year I've been happier than ever. Where I'd say normally my emotions fluctuate. And as you said, I have big wins and big losses. I want to not fluctuate as much. Mm-hmm. But what are you looking forward to? And I think if people are sad, just find some shit to look forward to. Put a race in there. Put, a relationship thing in there. Put a business thing in there. And just have some stuff to look forward to, like a vacation. And then the last thing, dude, with the thing with business, it's easier to talk about it. It's much harder to do it. It's easier to read David's book. It's hard to actually suffer.
Yeah.
But I will say the most satisfying thing about the alignment part is that maybe about 4 months ago, we started writing what that vision looks like, the exact vision of what alignment looks like. And we're probably 4 months into 12 of it being the final vision for this part. And it's actually happening. And I'm like, that part is very, very fulfilling. I'm like, I can't believe these stupid ideas that we come up with. We're doing them and it's working. But I think it was really interesting that we wrote out what that looked like and then we're executing against it. And the results are there. But even if, the score's not there, we're like, this is the strategy and the plays that we want to be playing.
That's freaking amazing, man. And it's your illustration of like driving to Mexico, dude. Like you'll eventually get there, right? If you're driving south, but you guys are on the path. Like you were using navigation, right?
Yeah, there's one of my favorite books around that. It's called The Score Will Take Care of Itself by Bill Walsh. It's he's one of the great football coaches for San Francisco 49ers, and that's a lot of what he talks about is just practice the plays. And you can't control everything in the game. A lot of times the refs or whatever, the other team, whatever, but practice your plays and keep playing your game, and the score should take care of itself.
Love that, man. Last question. What's your favorite mission meets flavor?
Dude, the Reaper. So I will tell you, the Reaper is solid. It's not, dude, I did a ghost pepper shot for a business thing we did for
a shot.
Dude, it was not a good idea. I was like outside Walgreens was it Walgreens? Yeah, outside Walgreens on the ground. And I'm like, I'm not joking. I'm like reaching up for people. I'm like, help me. And they're like, you look homeless. And I was like, can you please? I had like a $20 out. I'm like, can you buy me Pepto-Bismol? Because I was on my way to the gym and it really started kicking in. Oh, dude, it was brutal. And then like my poops hurt. Like if you know what I'm talking about, like the poops hurt. But so speaking of Mission Meat Bars, so I would actually say the Carolina Reaper is like just on the edge of being too spicy, but just enough, which is great.
Good.
I will personally say, so I have the bars here.
Yeah. Nice.
You can hear them on the podcast world.
Yeah.
I am more of a fan of a turkey bar.
Okay.
It doesn't have the meat or the fattiness of a lot of like the pork or bacon that you guys do or the meat bars, but definitely I'm more of a turkey. I think just like psychologically, I find it healthier.
Yeah. We have a turkey bar coming out.
Yeah. I think the turkey bars are good. No, you guys have turkey stick right here.
A turkey stick. Yeah. You said bar, and I was like, we are going to do a bar format turkey.
Oh, I was like, dude, I've been eating someone's turkey stick. That was in my mouth. I was like, I swear to God, you guys had them. I've been eating them.
We do have turkey sticks. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Very cool, man. Well, dude, thanks for the time. I know you got a meeting coming up in a couple minutes here. It's been a pleasure, bro. And I think that as everybody thinks, like your own personal knowledge is like simple and it's not, meant to be shared. I think you've got so much to share, bro. And your mission and your timeline and the way that you've kind of gone through life has been super informative for people. And I appreciate you sharing it. If somebody wants to keep tabs on what Noah's working on, what's the best way?
So if you're into podcasts like this, you can check out my podcast. Just search Noah Kagan Presents or okdork.com/podcast. And then from our company, just go to appsumo.com. It's a free newsletter where we promote awesome products for startups.
Yeah, it is awesome. Cool. All right, Noah, thanks very much. Later, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in. It means so much to me and the entire Live Your Mission team. Now, this is the point where I ask you to subscribe, leave a review, share the show with a friend. Would you do that for me, please? It's super helpful. Helps us grow the show, helps us bring you better guests, helps us not have to have advertising on here, all that good stuff. So what do you say? Help me out. Share the show, please. Okay. Now, we're also putting out content for viewers and listeners like you have told us what they want, right? You told us what you want, and we're bringing it to you, okay? So if there's something that you want, either a topic or a person or something you want to learn about, whatever, because it's the same thing as a topic, shoot me an email, peter@missionmeats.co. That's peter@missionmeats.co. And I'll see what I can do. I think I can do it for you. I probably can. You never know. So shoot me an email. And if you want to be part of the Mission Reaper Challenge, tag us. Post some stuff of you eating it. And if it's hilarious, if we love it, if it's creative, if it's all those things, we will pick you. I will talk about you on the show, and you will win $100 in free Mission Meats delicious snacks. So give that a shot. All right. Now get out there and live your mission. Thank you.